Continuing the tradition from last year, my first new review of the new year is one of my all-time favorite movies on their anniversary. Forrest Gump turns 30 years old in 2024, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Now, if you were to hold a gun to my head and you were to tell me, hey, Zach, I'm going to strap you in here. Don't be dirty. Don't get it twisted. If you were to strap me in here, you had a gun to my head and you said, hey, Zach, what is your one favorite movie of all time? And you had to pick just one. I would tell you it's damn near impossible. I would just be like, get out of here. But if I were forced to choose, it would probably be Forrest Gump. And this video is going to tell you why. Forrest Gump is basically not the most advantaged person growing up. He definitely has his challenges physically and mentally. He's played here by Tom Hanks in what I would argue could be his career best. Because this is a role that could have very easily teetered on the line of offensive. If Tom Hanks played this part incorrectly, this movie would have been an utter piece of trash, and there would have been calls for Tom Hanks to be canceled even before Toy Story was even a thing. But thankfully, with Tom Hanks' Oscar-winning turn, he not only makes you feel optimistic about life and the meaning of destiny, but he inspires you. And Forrest Gump leads anything and everything but a restricted life. And the symbolism of the feather that's floating around at the beginning and the end of this movie, yeah, that symbolism might very much be in your face. Especially once you get to his closing monologue about whether or not you believe in destiny, or whether or not you're just floating through life and just taking things as they come. But maybe it's both. And yeah, some people could look at that symbolism as very on the nose, but I feel like this is just brilliant screenwriting. And dare I say it, phenomenal direction by Robert Zemeckis. This is the guy who had made Back to the Future like maybe a decade before this. I could honestly tell you that Forrest Gump is better than Back to the Future just because of the pacing, the way the movie is put together, the way the movie is shot, and the editing of Forrest Gump. Oh my god, it is just so freaking perfect. But even though this movie is a bit on the longer side for the mid-90s at 2 hours and 20 minutes, it never feels like that. Forrest Gump is a movie that zips by every single time. And some people might look at a lot of these events in Forrest Gump's life and see it as random. You might see it as just a bunch of staggered vignettes that don't really make a whole lot of sense a lot of the time. But isn't that the point? A lot of things that Forrest Gump is doing in this movie don't really make a whole lot of sense. But yet, everything that he does just feels so inspired. And the reason why I consider this movie to be one of, if not my favorite movie of all time, it has a little bit of everything. It's got the romance, of course, between Forrest and Jenny, who is a very polarizing character. It's got the dramatic moments, it's got the heartfelt moments, it's got the life lessons brought to you by a great performance from Sally Field. And that Mama Says catchphrase definitely brings a lot of wisdom to the proceedings. And there's a lot of life lessons that you can take home from this movie as well. Life is like a box of chocolates. Mama always had a way of saying things so I could understand them. Let me also tell you that Tom Hanks' southern accent is practically perfect, I think. But all the characters that you meet along the way throughout Forrest's life, everybody just has their own fun little quirks about them. Take Bubba, for example, played by Mykelti Williamson. He's introduced basically as a confidant for Forrest during the Vietnam War. And again, Forrest just happens upon being drafted after graduating from college. Well, not necessarily drafted. There was just an army recruiter going around the University of Alabama, and he was just going around recruiting the random graduates. Forrest just happened to be one of them, and he just wanted to sign up just to see how it was. But there's a lot of comedy that is brought to the table in this whole Vietnam segment. And you would think that the whole war section of the movie would probably be very depressing, but this just feels so different from any other war movie you will ever watch because there is so much freaking comedy being thrown at you. Bubba knows everything there is to know about the shrimping business, and dare I say it, he knows every which way that shrimp can be enjoyed.
Shrimp and potatoes, shrimp burger, shrimp sandwich. That's about it.
God, that moment is just perfect. It makes me laugh every time. And this war section also introduces you to my personal favorite character of the bunch, Lieutenant Dan, played by Gary Sinise. And at least a whole depressing arc for him where he loses both his legs on the battlefield. And his destiny was that he was supposed to die out there. But Forrest, in an attempt to look for Bubba in the field, and tragically Bubba does not make it out of the war. Lieutenant Dan does, though, and he wanted to die in the field with honor like all of his family members that preceded him in every great American war. But then he grows to appreciate life, even without his two most important limbs, arguably. And yeah, there's that whole powerful moment where he pulls Forrest out of the bed, and it's just like, it's almost like a horror movie the way he pulls him out. But then he asks and ponders, what am I gonna do now? Notice how he doesn't kill himself, because I feel like it'd be very easy to write this character to just hang himself in his garage. But no, Lieutenant Dan keeps fighting because Forrest inspires him. I feel like everything Forrest does in this movie just, like, again, it just feels like the most random sequence of events. He goes and becomes an all-star for the University of Alabama as a kick returner, which leads to a hilarious montage of sequences where he's returning kicks. He's running over band members, running all the way into the locker room, and Bear Bryant is screaming, "He must be the stupidest son of a bitch alive! But he sure is fast." And then every single person in the University of Alabama stadium yelling at Forrest and pleading him to stop running. Like, it's perfect. It's hilarious. He goes and saves all these people in the Vietnam War just because he was looking for his best good friend, and he ends up winning a Medal of Honor. And again, like, the fact that he meets 3 straight United States presidents for various reasons, it's insane. Once because he was an all-star for the Alabama football team, once because he was awarded the Medal of Honor by LBJ, and then another because he was representing America for their Olympic ping pong team going to meet Richard Nixon. And just the fact that he happens to be the cause of the Watergate scandal in this universe, like, that is crazy to me. Like, you know what I mean? This movie just, like, it hits all those notes where you want it to hit you. It hits all those emotional beats where you want it to hit you. It makes you laugh where it's supposed to make you laugh for sure, especially in the way the movie is edited. And I think it's one of my favorite editing jobs of all time. But yeah, you do stumble across some polarizing features of this movie, namely the character of Jenny. Now look, Robin Wright, brilliant in this movie, brilliant actress as well. And when I first watched Forrest Gump and I saw her in this movie, I was like, hey, Buttercup, that's cool, she's in this, nice. But then the more you think about it, and the more that Jenny leads Forrest on throughout her life, and the fact that she just doesn't take him and she doesn't want to accept his advances, like, part of me understands that. But then once you see her motive by the end, once her and Forrest actually do get together, once they do hook up, once little Forrest Jr., played by Haley Joel Osment in his debut role, once that comes into the picture, then she decides to marry Forrest. But it's only after she's diagnosed with AIDS and she passes away herself. Like, again, I don't know, man. Jenny's an interesting one. And it can be very, very, very easy to hate this character. But it's almost like the casting of Robin Wright was integral to make you actually appreciate Jenny Curran. And it's a very similar casting choice in this regard to Jennifer Aniston as Rachel in Friends. Rachel can be a very unlikable character with the wrong actress. But the way Robin Wright goes about this material, it makes her just likable enough where you definitely feel sorry for her in the many things she goes through throughout her life, the abuse that she experiences. And it's also very important because you want to see the charm that makes Forrest fall for her. And it's such a tear-jerking sequence. It's such a, like, this movie, again, it'll get you in the right spots. Like, this movie is not nice. And yet, with how Robert Zemeckis directed this thing, with Tom Hanks' career-defining performance in my eyes, this is one of the most inspiring movies of all time. And again, it's just in the simplicity of just flowing through life like a feather. There's that symbolism again. It's not just all about your destiny. Maybe you could just go through life and you can have the highest of highs and you can still live life to the fullest and most optimistic value. And I think that's a really cool message, while also still putting the past behind you and looking ahead into the future and the promising aspects of the future. Case in point, my favorite sequence in the whole movie, Forrest's running. He's running across America. He figures since he runs all the way to Santa Monica from Greenbow, Alabama, might as well just turn around and keep on going. Yeah, makes total sense. And all these news outlets approaching him, just wondering why he's doing this, and the fact that they can't grasp that he just felt like running. Again, that part is just so freaking inspiring. I don't really know what it is. Maybe it's just his instincts for no particular reason, just deciding to go out for a run. I think that's really cool. And again, it leads to one of the best punchlines the entire time when Forrest decides to stop running after about 3 years worth of it. And he has this whole pack of followers behind him and he just goes, "I'm pretty tired. Think I'll go home now." I have always wondered how that pack of followers all got home. Like, did they just buy plane tickets from the desert? They didn't have cell phones back then. But yeah, this movie, with its editing, its direction, its revolutionary CGI, putting Tom Hanks right up against John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, all of whom had passed away by the point Forrest Gump came out. Crazy what technology was able to do even in 1994. Now let me tell you, that is not an invitation to have CGI just ruin everything. Do not bring past actors back from the dead. Do not put them with Tom Holland in other movies. Don't do that. Like, give these actors work. You don't have to use these old likenesses at all. Like, you don't have to use AI at all. Like, come on, guys. Another topic for another time. But as it sits, Forrest Gump is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm going to give Forrest Gump an A+. I mean, are you guys really that surprised by that rating? Let me know what you thought of Forrest Gump down in the comments section below. Let me know who your favorite character is. Let me know what your favorite comedic moment out of this is. And have you ever eaten a Bubba Gump shrimp? I have. It was down in Monterey. It was a beautiful view out on the pier. Lots of Forrest Gump memorabilia at that restaurant. Man, it makes me want to go back and eat some more of that shrimp mac and cheese. It is just mwah, yummy. But hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up as well. This is a great community of film lovers and entertainment lovers out here. Y'all are invited to join us. And guys, I appreciate your patience as I've taken a little bit of a hiatus from YouTube over this past week or so. But I'm going to kick it into another gear this Monday. I'm going to be seeing a double feature Monday night of Night Swim and American Fiction. And I'm also watching What If Season 2. Don't think I forgot about Marvel in this whole mess. 2024 is getting off to a great start, my friends. I hope you guys are enjoying your new year so far. And y'all are the best, guys. Thank you again for your continuous support. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.